Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and welcome to a live news special here from the Baitul Salam Mosque in Scunthorpe. Earlier today, on this special occasion, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, inaugurated the first purpose-built mosque in the area. Before we tell you more about the history and the journey to the inauguration itself, let's take a look at some of the scenes from earlier today where His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, officially inaugurated the site and blessed his presence to the site in once again. Let's take a look.
तेरा फूल फूल चेहरा मैं सदा बहार देखूं वो घड़ी कभी ना आए तुझे बेकरार देखूं तेरा फूल फूल चेहरा मैं सदा बहार देखूं वो घड़ी कभी ना आए तुझे बेकरार देखूं ऐ मकीन दिल तुझी से है जहान दिल की रौनक ऐ मकीन दिल तुझी से है जहान दिल की रौनक है दुआए दिल ये तुझको बाबर गुबार देखूं तेरा फूल फूल चेहरा मैं सदा बहार देखूं वो घड़ी कभी ना आए तुझे बेकरार देखूं तेरी दीद से सवा हो मेरा शौक दीद हर पल तेरी दीद से सवा हो मेरा शौक दीद हर पल कहे चश्म नम चल के तुझे बार बार देखूं तेरा फूल फूल चेहरा मैं सदा बहार देखूं.
Those were some scenes from earlier where Hazrat Khalifatul Masih V, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, officially inaugurated this historic mosque. Now, this site has been blessed with the presence of Hazur-e Anwar, may Allah be his helper, multiple times, the first being in 2004. Let's take a look at a short video detailing the historic visits of beloved Hazur to this site.
आए हुजूर घर में हमारे खुशामदीद उतरे हैं आसमान से तारे खुशामदीद आए हुजूर घर में हमारे खुशामदीद उतरे हैं आसमान से तारे खुशामदीद.
First time Hazur came, it was actually 2004 when he came to us, and I was just a new arrival in Scunthorpe at that time. So I remember we have a small bungalow as a mosque at that time, and there was about 35 people standing in line with Hazur. So Hazur cars comes in, and we all have the opportunity to have a musafa, shake hand with Hazur. And then I recall and remember that I hold the Hazur hand. It was such a big thing for me that, you know, this is the first time you're holding Hazur hand out of his office somewhere.
आप क्या कर रहे हैं? मैं सर जी अभी तो आए हैं और कब देने देंगे? हाँ? 2 महीने हुए? 4-5 माह हुए.
We are so blessed and we are so fortunate personally and as Jamaat that Hazur-e Aqdas has actually been here 6 times, and we can never say thank enough to Allah Ta'ala for giving us that blessing. And I think each member has had blessings from Huzur Aqdas. We had very informal sittings with Huzur Aqdas where children have been given. Huzur gave chocolates to children.
दिया सर कहता है मैंने जो हाइमर्स का इम्तहान देना है मैंने असफ के पेन से दे दिए लो एक और ले लो दो हो जाए
This present would be his 7th visit, and you can imagine the excitement because it has been such a long time coming. So we are very, very blessed and fortunate.
A few days before Huzur's arrival, the excitement is electric right now. You know, this mosque is filled up with people every day. You know, there's a lot of activity happening. All the Waqari amal is happening. It's just exciting to see how many people are just so frequently here. Like, for whatever small thing that needs to happen, the entire Jamaat is willing to come down and to help out. So just seeing that kind of positivity or that kind of active atmosphere is really quite amazing. And of course, for quite a few of these people, this could be the first time that they're seeing Huzur in Scunthorpe.
That was a look at some of the historic visits of beloved Huzur, may Allah be his helper, to this mosque site. We are now joined by Dr. Muzaffar Saib, who's serving as the regional Amir. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saib. Jazakallah for joining us.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakallah for having me.
Dr. Saib, so the wait is finally over, and we have been blessed with the inauguration of this beautiful mosque. What are your feelings?
Alhamdulillah. This couldn't have happened without Allah Ta'ala's graciousness. It couldn't have happened without beloved Huzur's prayers, and we are humbled today that we have managed to achieve this landmark, but this is only because of Allah Ta'ala's graciousness. So alhamdulillah, it's open, inaugurated, and we are here.
So can you just tell us about some of the sacrifices that the Jamaat of Scunthorpe have done for this success of this building so far?
As you know, we are a small Jamaat, and the expenditure was almost £1 million. Every member, in one shape or another, digged very hard into their pockets and paid the amount. And alhamdulillah, before this inauguration, we have paid the total build cost, all by Jamaat, Scunthorpe Jamaat members. Some of them didn't buy houses, some of them didn't buy new cars. That's how we built it.
And Huzur had come and visited, and mashallah, he inaugurated the blessed mosque. What was Huzur's remarks about the mosque itself?
Huzur, I think, likes Scunthorpe. He came here and he liked the place. He said, you have built it well. He's pointed out few bits that we need to improve, but otherwise he was very happy with the mosque, build quality, atmosphere, and indeed the whole place.
And what has been the reactions of the locals that you've built this first purpose-built mosque here? What has their reaction been, and especially after the inauguration ceremony?
Locals were all very impressed with the building. What they're saying is this is a remarkable building in a small place that we have built. But I think their most important comments were that they all felt very welcomed. They felt everyone was very welcoming, and they could see love all around them. So that's what was the most important comment that we get from.
Jazakallah, Dr. Saib, for your time, and may Allah make this blessed, this mosque a blessed and a place of worship where all MDs come together, inshallah.
It's a blessing.
Dear viewers, the journey to the building of this mosque hasn't been easy. The local Jamaat faced challenges whilst building this house of worship. Here's a report about how the local Jamaat stood up still against the opposition whilst building this mosque.
In a small British town, a storm is brewing.
Here are all the Muslims who don't want a mosque being built.
You heard that right. Muslims protesting against a mosque. Scunthorpe, a small and quiet industrial town, isn't a place where you'd expect much conflict. But when the Ahmadiyya Muslim community planned to construct the first purpose-built mosque in the area, other local Muslims were outraged.
When we made the application to the council, there was a lot of opposition, mostly from local, non-Ahmadi Muslims. They approached to the council and they told them that they are not Muslims and you should not allow them in any kind of planning permission, leave alone, any mosque.
On the day of the decision, council members were due to visit the site of the planned mosque, but another group turned up instead.
And all of a sudden, we seen that lots of non-Ahmadi Muslims, they came to the site with a quite large, plenty of placards saying no to mosque, no to mosque. They are kafir, no to mosque. And they started shouting.
Opposition against this community of around 200 Ahmadi Muslims was fierce. Local Ahmadi Salman Muzaffar filmed the protesters. His brother Kamran Muzaffar describes what happened next.
And they started to oppose face-to-face to my brother and a few of the members that this is not a mosque. You guys should not be allowed to have this planning approval.
And you guys have come along, I don't know where you've come from. Which banana boat did you come from?
There you go. There's the aggressive behaviour.
They were still trying to invade and to try to influence the people who were visiting us at that time.
And around about 1:30 when I got a phone call from police saying that we can't guarantee your safety, so we advise that you don't come to this planning committee meeting.
And that day, the final decision was supposed to be taken for planning permission for the mosque.
So I told them that providing safety is your responsibility, and I am going to come, and I have to put my viewpoint to council. And then, of course, afterwards I got a phone call saying that yes, they will provide safety to me.
With 8 members of the deciding committee, a majority verdict was needed for the plans to be approved.
I went there and put our viewpoint across, that why we want this mosque, what's good about this, and how it's going to benefit the community.
And one member who was actually non-Ahmadi Muslim, background from Pakistan, he actually abstained because of the opposition. He could not withhold the pressure from the non-Ahmadi Muslims.
Very noble of him. He said, I have been influenced by my constituents, and my decision making is not without influence, so I will not vote. And he stood down and he left the planning committee.
What we came to know later on, that he was in favor of mosque. And because he thought if he will vote for the favor of mosque, he may, face more opposition and more prosecution from non-Ahmadi Muslims. And he knew our Jamaat, and that's why he knew that these, people are, very peaceful, and certainly they do deserve their mosque.
So there were lots of things that were happening, and we weren't sure whether we'll be able to convince councillors that we need this.
Eventually, the approval was given by just a margin of 1.
And when they voted, and that application was voted in our favor with 4-3 votes.
And again, hats off to councillors. In spite of all the opposition, they upheld the great British values and gave us the permission.
Now, despite challenges, threats and opposition, Scunthorpe has its very first mosque.
Dear viewers, that was a look at some of the opposition that was faced by the local Jamaat during the building of this historic mosque. And Allah's grace continues to bless the Jamaat as it continues to progress and build more and more mosques around the world. And that is all the time we have for today. We hope you enjoyed the live news special. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.